Yes, so let's look back into history. What is there? First, the European traders saw that the cotton cloth from India was carried by Arab merchants in Iraq. So they began referring to all finely woven textiles as muslin, a word that acquired wide currency. When the Portuguese came first to India in search of spices, they landed in Calicut in Kerala, coast of southwest India. The cotton textiles which they took back to Europe along with the spices came to be called calico, derived from Calicut. And calico became the name for cotton textiles for the Portuguese. The Portuguese called it calico when they were giving it to Europe. There are many words which point to the popularity of Indian textiles in Western markets. India, the company sent representatives to India, rather Kolkata, in 1730. Five lakh 89,000 pieces of cloth was that year's order. 98 varieties of cotton and silk cloths. These were known by their common name in the European trade as piece goods. Usually woven cloth pieces that were 20 yards long and 1 yard wide. As I said, that roll of cloth going. It's called fabric. There were so many different names of varieties of cloth. Printed cotton cloths were there called chintz, koses or khasa and bandana. The English word chintz comes from, it is derived from the Hindi word chint, a cloth with small and colorful flowery designs. In 1680s, there started a craze for printed Indian cotton textile in England and Europe, mainly for the exquisite floral designs. Fine texture, relative cheapness, rich people of England, including the Queen herself, wore clothes of Indian fabric. Then we had the jamdani, the bandana. Bandana is a brightly colored and printed scarf for the neck and head. It's derived from the word bandana for tying, it's tie and dye. You tie one cloth and then you put it into a dye of color, you take it out, that part which is tied does not get the color. Again you tie another part, another color, the print comes, tie and dye, bandana. Bandhani, you have these dupattas and foreigners went mad. All these block prints, this print, t-shirts and all, Americans were, hippies were mad about our clothes. Even the Queen of England wore our clothes. There were other cloths in the order book that were noted by their place of origin. Kasim Bazar, Patna, Calcutta, Odisha, Charpuri. So many information in their books tell us about how popular Indian textiles had become in different parts of the world with different names. Understood? By the early 18th century, by this popularity of Indian textiles, wool and silk makers in England began protesting against the import of Indian cotton textiles. So in 720, the British government enacted a legislation banning the use of printed cotton textile chintz in England. The act was known as the Calico Act. Stopped Indian things coming into the print, cotton printed things, because those people there who were making were saying that. This time the textile industries had just begun to be starting and develop in England. They were not able to compete with the Indian market textiles. They wanted to sell their stuff in their country and they didn't want the Indian market to come inside. And Britishers were only bringing it in. English people were only bringing it in. So they wanted to stop that. They wanted to grow that calico printing in England. Now it was imitated and printed in England on white muslin or plain unbleached Indian cloth. Plain white cloth was being done. Printing was being done. This competition with Indian textiles also led to a search for technological innovation in England. In 1764, the spinning jenny was invented by John Kay, which increased the productivity of traditional spindles. The invention of the steam engine by Richard Arkwright in 1786 revolutionized cotton textile weaving. Cloth could now be woven in immense quantities and cheaply too. That spinning wheel, spindles on which you weave the cloth, machines were made. But Indians dominated the full world till the end of 18th century. The Dutch, the French and the English made enormous profits out of this flourishing trade. They purchased cotton and silk textiles in India by importing silver into India. But when they gained political power in Bengal, they didn't have to import precious metal to buy Indian goods. They started collecting revenues from peasants and jamindars in India, and they used that money to buy Indian textile. Understood? Now, who were the workers? Weavers were the people who belonged to the communities and specialized in weaving. All were done by hand. The skills were passed on to father and son, son and son, all weavers, generation to generation. The Tati weavers of Bilgong, the Tat silk, the Tat sarees of the cotton sarees of Bengal, too good. The Julahas and the Momin weavers of North India, Saleh and Kaikolkar and Devangs of South India are some of the communities famous for weaving, only weaving. First was spinning the wheel, done by the women, the charka and the takli, were household spinning instruments. The thread was spun on the charka and rolled on a takli. When the spinning wheel was over, the thread was woven into the cloth by the weaver in most communities. You see that, the thread goes and they weave it. Again one thread goes. So thread like this, like a network it goes, it becomes a cloth. Huge job. The thread was dyed by the dyer known as Rangres. For printed cloth, the weavers needed the help of specialist block printers known as chippigars. These things provided lot of livelihood to people during that time. Millions of Indians. But this declined due to the British. Okay. So we leave it till here today. I'll just brief you. One sec. I'll brief you with some few points. Before the British rule, I just want to tell you, India was self-sufficient in textile and cotton products, but during the British rule, India fell down to the position of importing cloth from England. Can you imagine? Dadabhai Naoroji was the first to acknowledge that the poverty of the Indian people was due to British exploitation of India's resources and the drain of India's wealth to Britain, the drain theory. It was an indication. The drain theory was an indication of the nationalist leaders' comprehensive understanding of the colonial situation. We'll do it in the next class. Okay? So don't worry, I have a lot of information to share with you which will be very helpful. So take care guys, be good, stay home, stay safe, and love your parents. Talk to them, ask them questions, about British time and all. If they have any, your forefathers and all during your family, someone or some time must have been during that time. You will come to know a lot of information. Okay? So bye bye, take care, and do whatever you want after your studies. Bye bye.